Hello, everybody. Forgive the background noise of crickets, cars, and possibly male voices. They are in there playing a video game. This is going to be a short one because I got to get him out before he deletes the chat for both of us. So, where we last left off, I had given him the lyrics to Jesus Baby from South Park. And he responded to that. "You are such a darling baby. You're really matured and creative, my sweetheart." So I said, "Am I now?" So he sent this. The 80s cruise. I don't know why. It doesn't make him look any more legit. So I said, "Uh-huh." He says, "Yeah." I said, "Sure." He says, "Are you feeling sleepy, baby?" Honestly, I was busy. So he sent this. Basically just a woman thanking Bret Michaels for coming to Pearl, Mississippi. I said, "I'm not Pearl, Mississippi," acting like it was a name. He says, "I just sent it to you because you're my wife." I said, "We aren't married." He says, "I know, you're stopping me from meeting you." I said, "Am I? How?" "Because you don't want to get my fan card so that I will be able to meet you." So it's going romance VIP gift card. I said, "When did I say that? You know, sometimes the world looks perfect, nothing to rearrange. Sometimes you just get a feeling that you need some kind of change. Well, no matter what the odds are this time, nothing's gonna stand in my way. This flame in my heart and a long-lost friend gives every dark street a light at the end." He responds to that, "I love you, baby." I said, "Standing tall on the wings of my dreams, rise and fall on the wings of my dreams. The rain and thunder, the wind and haze, I'm bound for better days. My life, it's my dream. Nothing's gonna stop me now." He responds, "We gonna live it together." What I should have said was, "Don't be ridiculous," in reference to the Perfect Strangers theme song lyrics I just shat out. He said, "Think of me, babe, whenever I said, "Think of me, babe, whenever some sweet talking girl comes along, singing her song." I should have quoted Balky. Not that he would have gotten it. He said, "All right, baby, you know I can't cheat on you." I said, "I hope not. Otherwise, I'll have to dig my key into the side of your pretty little souped-up four-wheel drive, or carve my name into your leather seats. Maybe take a Louisville Slugger to both headlights, or slash a hole in all four tires. Then maybe next time you'll think before you cheat." Excuse me, and that was Carrie Underwood. He says, "I'm never going to do that, baby. I also value the sense of humor in a woman. What interests you in a man?" I wasn't feeling it at this point. So I just said, "Penis, that's basically it." And then I came back and said, "Oh, and intellect. He better know the difference between pulmonary embolism and pulmonary edema. And I can tell you right now, this man does not." He sends this gif. Okay. He says, "Well, I'm caring, outspoken, humorous, understanding, passionate, and cheerful. Definitely you'll be the one to see for yourself by the time we will be together." And I continue on. He also better know what I mean when I say big tib, little fib. Tell me what it means. Remember, I always pretend to be a doctor of some sort. He says, "I really don't like a dirty woman. What about you? What are the habits that you hate in a man?" So I said, "When they ignore questions and don't answer what I've asked. Like how I asked you, what is big tib, little fib, and you ignored it and didn't answer." So he sends this. Another video that Bret Michaels posted publicly. He says, "I don't know to what is big tib, little fib. You know, big tibia, little fibia, whatever." I said, "Ooh, that's not good." So he finally responds to that, "Good afternoon, my love." I said, "Another day, another chance for you to prove you're Neo and tell me what big tib, little fib means." He says, "Lol, honey, so if I don't tell you, we're not going to get married again." I said, quote, "Married again? You can't, quote, or get, quote, married again if you've never been married. But to answer the question, yes, it would be best if you answered the question." He said, "Yes." I said, "Then answer it." So then he says, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure, I can see you're trying to get me to forget about having you answer what big tib, little fib means because you clearly don't know. That's not a good thing." And this is, once I read what was coming up, I think I started to think, oh my God, has he seen my videos? Or does he know somebody who has seen my videos? And overheard, baby, I would like us to talk on Google Chat. I said, I don't know, man. He says, download the app now, honey. I said, no, you got me on Telegram. Why do you want to move again? He says, I just found out you don't like talking here on Telegram. Now, I never said anything of the sort, as you all can see. I don't know where that came from. Assumption that somebody told him that we don't like talking on Telegram, but he thinks he's actually got a bait here. I'm not sure. Any ideas, people? I said, we were on Facebook, then you wanted to move here, and now you're whining that you want to move to Google Chat. I said, when did I say that I don't like Telegram? He says, we don't talk as usual anymore, baby. That's why I want us to talk on Google Chat. We can still talk here, baby, and on Google Chat. I didn't know how to respond to that, so I just said, maybe in a few minutes when I get home. He says, all right, baby. So my question is, I don't know a lot about Google Chat because I don't use it, but are they able to delete the conversation on both ends? Because if they're not, it might be wise for me to move over there. Depending on what I find out will depend on if I move to Google Chat. Anyways, that's it for that one. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I have something soon.